Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for coming to watch, and we got guys an update on a significant severe weather outbreak that we have expected to unfold across portions of the south central United States. We're talking about a serious damaging wind threat and a possible derecho to sweep across portions of Oklahoma, Texas, back in Arkansas and Louisiana. I've got all the details coming right up. So thank you for joining me here on this Saturday evening. We have a lot to talk about in this video. We're going to give you the latest breakdown on tomorrow's significant severe weather outbreak. That again is expected to impact portions of the southern United States. We're going to start out here by taking a look at your current radar, and you can see we do actually have a few things going on right now. We'll start out here into portions of the southeast, where we are talking about some severe thunderstorms across portions of Georgia, back into the Carolinas. This will likely continue over the overnight hours, as we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in some of these areas. So if you're in places like South Carolina or, coastal North Carolina, back even into Georgia, make sure you are staying weather aware tonight. That you have multiple ways to receive warnings, because it looks like we are going to still see some of those, strong to severe storms as we get through the overnight hours. But the rest of the country looks pretty good. We do actually have some showers and storms making their way across portions of the upper Midwest, back down into portions of the Ohio Valley, and all the way down into portions of southern Arkansas there. Most of these should stay sub-severe, so really nothing much to worry about there. But once again, the rest of the country looks pretty much good for the most part. So we're going to be moving on to your alerts here. And we're going to start out here in portions of the northern United States, where you can see we do have some air quality alerts. That's going to be going out for portions of upstate New York into Vermont and back into portions of southern Maine there. Then you can also see we do have air quality alerts for the entire state of Minnesota, as well as portions of northern Indiana. So again, it kind of gives you guys an idea of how widespread this wildfire smoke is. Kind of just, coming into the United States. We've just been seeing relentless amounts of wildfire smoke being pushed down from Canada, which again is going to cause big time, air quality problems for some of these people in northern United States. So make sure you are, limiting your times outdoor, limiting your time outdoors if you do have an air quality alert in your area. But you can see we also do have some extreme heat watches going out for portions of southern Nevada, into portions of southeastern California. So very, very hot conditions, really all the way up until up and down the west coast, where we actually still do have now some extreme heat warnings going out for portions of central Washington state. So again, if you're in including any of these areas currently under heat advisories, watches, and warnings, make sure you are taking them very seriously and that you're staying cool out there. But rest of the country looks good for the most part, so we're going to be moving on here to the HRRR. We're going to be breaking down tomorrow's big-time damaging wind threat and possible derecho here across portions of the central United States. So starting out here as we get to tomorrow morning, you can see things will be clear for the most part, but you can see we already do have some showers and storms popping up here across portions of Oklahoma. And you can see already as we get into about the 3, 4, 5 p.m. time frame, you can see we get a very, very widespread kind of uptick in storm activity. You can see we do have this very, very strong complex of storms moving south here across portions of western Oklahoma. Now, this does definitely look like it could pose a threat of very large hail to damaging large hail, very strong to damaging wind gusts, but also a few tornadoes definitely cannot be ruled out. So, again, big time kind of complex of storms already firing here by 4 p.m. tomorrow. So just before, dinner time, we could definitely be talking about some severe storms. And all these storms up to the north, back into portions of southern Kansas and northern Oklahoma, they do kind of align here and can join into this one big line. And you can see as this line continues to move south, it does gain steam, and you can even see this little bow echo feature starting to develop on the south side. This is kind of indicative of some very, very strong outflow winds. So again, we're talking about damaging winds across a pretty widespread area, all the way from Oklahoma City point south, now sweeping south into portions of eastern Texas. So this is really as we get into the evening and overnight hours, we're going to be talking about a strengthening line of storms that eventually is going to kind of bow out here, is what we like to call it. And you can see a very, very significant line of storms eventually now moving into portions of northern Texas. But again, this is going to sweep right through Oklahoma, starting around the late afternoon and early evening hours, and then continuing to the overnight hours. But south of Oklahoma City, you need to be aware, be very, very vigilant, because again, this is going to be a very, very strong and dangerous line of storms capable of producing all hazards, but significant wind gusts. You're talking 82, possibly even up to 100 mile per hour wind gusts are going to be possible along this line. So anywhere really along or near the Oklahoma-Texas border, you need to be prepared. You need to be extra weather aware, even as we get into the overnight hours. If the storms are heading your way and you're just about to get to bed, stay up. Just make sure that you're being extra prepared, because you really don't want to go to bed when things are becoming really dangerous. So again, we really need to be worried for these areas, because this seems to be a very, very significant event. And so we shift our focus here now to portions of northeastern Texas to see kind of how this line continues, and you can see it does eventually go right through portions of northeastern Texas into the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. And the reason why this is very concerning is because, again, this is a very, very populated region. So we're going to see likely very widespread power outages from this line here. But you can see a full-blown bow echo fully developed here, extending all the way from eastern Arkansas down through Texas. So places like Weatherford, Dallas-Fort Worth, Plano, Sherman, Paris, Texarkana, all of these areas need to be extra prepared, and you need to make sure you're staying ahead of the weather, because again, this is going to be a very widespread and long-lasting line here. This is as we're getting into about 10-11 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and even as we get into the early morning hours of tomorrow, of Monday, this continues and advances farther south, now extending into portions of northeastern Louisiana, and then reaching into more southern communities out here into Texas, now reaching places like Tyler, Waco, College Station, Lufkin. All of you guys are going to be likely going to be impacted by this line, and then really it doesn't fall apart until about the 1, 2, 3 a.m. kind of time frame, where really everything kind of holds up to the east, but falls apart down here into Texas. So again, really what we're watching for is the late overnight and early morning hours of tomorrow night into Monday for this line to really pack a punch here. But this is going to be a very, very long-lasting, long-tracking line of strong thunderstorms, which again is going to produce widespread damaging winds, and you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna get big-time wind damage, power outages, heavy rain, lightning, reduced visibility, flooding. Very, very big concerns. So you really want to make sure you're staying indoors, away from windows while the storm hits, that you're taking every warning seriously, because again, this is a big time when things are getting serious, and people really need to be aware of the ongoing situation. But we move things over now to our wind gust map here from the HRRR. These are your simulated wind gusts, just kind of from the line here, and you can see as we get into the 3, 4, 5 p.m. time frame, right when that line of storms starts to fire, you can see wind gusts already pick up dramatically here across portions of western Oklahoma. You can see along this line, along this cluster of storms, you're already seeing wind gusts likely up to 90 miles per hour on the HRRR. So very, very significant. You're talking destructive winds already in just the first hour or so of the event. But really anywhere south of Oklahoma City, you're starting to see some significant hurricane force winds. Again, on the south side of Oklahoma, we're really going to be, needing to watch out for this. And then you can see it becomes very, very widespread as that line continues to kind of grow upscale and continues to kind of fully develop there. But you're seeing winds in excess of 75 miles per hour, getting up into the 80 to 100 mile per hour range here. So this is why we really, really need to be concerned, because, you're seeing 80 to 100 mile per hour winds south of Oklahoma City, but you're also seeing similar wind gusts all the way up here towards Childress, Texas. So again, very, very widespread area, seeing very, very widespread, significant damaging wind gusts, and this continues to move south, now impacting portions of northern Texas. And these are very, very well overdone. But the things that we need, the reason why we're so concerned about this is because the HRRR is going bonkers here, showing wind gusts up to 130 miles per hour. Now, is this going to happen? No, absolutely not. That's, unrealistic. But when you get these types of situations, and you see the HRRR throwing out, wild numbers that aren't going to happen, that's when you know that, things are starting to get really serious, and the models are starting to kind of, freak out over this, if you will. and really just not showing the right scenarios. So again, very, very significant MCS, bow echo, derecho, whatever you want to call it, sweeping through portions of western Oklahoma, producing 80 to 90 mile per hour winds, and then getting down to the Texas-Oklahoma border, where really we could see wind gusts up to 100, 105 miles per hour. Really would not rule it out. So destructive winds expected, and you can see those winds continue to move into Texas there. Again, going right through the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area, we're talking about 70 to 90 mile per hour winds are going to be possible. And just these gusts continue throughout this line, even getting down to Waco, Texas. We're seeing up to hurricane force winds. And then finally, that line moves out. But again, very, very significant damaging wind event is going to unfold there across portions of Texas. But big time concerns with flash flooding and hail, damaging winds, and lightning obviously is going to cause major problems. But this is going to be a very long lasting line, like I said, and very widespread. So big time damaging wind event is looking very, very likely here. But if we take a look at the HRRR once again here, but for your CAPE values, this is your instability, convective available potential energy. This is going to kind of give us an idea of how juiced up the environment is for these storms. And you can see out in front of these storms just before they fire off, we have over 6,000 joules per kilograms of CAPE, which is a unbelievable amount in just kind of a meteorological standpoint. Usually when you're talking about, just enough CAPE to support severe storms, you're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilograms. You're seeing 6,000. That's almost 3 times that amount. So pretty insane CAPE values here across pretty much all of the region, which kind of gives you guys an idea of how long this line is going to be able to hold for. And you can see we see pretty ridiculous CAPE values all the way back down here to southeastern Texas. So these storms are going to have plenty of fuel to work with, and they are going to continue to cause destruction across portions of southern Oklahoma back into Texas here. But they completely eat up that environment, just showing a very, very juiced up and very, very healthy environment there just for those storms to, start to fire and produce damaging wind gusts, large hail, and tornadoes. But speaking of tornadoes, we actually move on here to this photograph that I did pull from that run of the HRRR. You can see that we do actually have a pretty nice looking photograph here showing that little elongated and curved shape there. So again, that's going to kind of give you guys an idea of what we could be talking about in terms of tornado threat. Your storm slinky is turning about 78 degrees, so pretty textbook, pretty healthy sounding that we're seeing here. But you can see also with your skew T how when you follow this green line, the farther up you get into the atmosphere, you see a pretty sharp decrease in that dew point. That's going to be a signal there of very, very large hail possible. You also have very, very high lapse rates. So big time damaging hail threat is definitely going to be in play for tomorrow. You can see that possible hazard type is a tornado. So definitely all hazards are going to be on the table here for portions of western Oklahoma, which is kind of where we took the sounding here. But you can see 5,570 joules per kilograms of surface-based CAPE. You have 1,348 joules per kilograms of D-CAPE, and plenty of 3-CAPE. Your thermos are looking great, and then your effective layers here at 40 knots. So again, just a pretty nice and solid looking sounding there, showing a pretty significant tornado, damaging wind, and hail threat for tomorrow across portions of Oklahoma and Texas. Alright, so for the last part of the update, we take a look at tomorrow's SPC outlook. You can see we do have a moderate risk, a level 4 to 5 risk for severe weather, including portions of southern Oklahoma back into northern Texas here. This does include Wichita Falls, Denton, Lawton, Oklahoma, Sherman, Texas, and Ardmore, Oklahoma. So if you're in any of these areas, make sure you are staying, again, extra weather aware, because this is where we really need to be concerned. But we do also have an enhanced risk surrounding that, and then that's going to be in the orange shade. That's a level 3 to 5 risk. You do have your slight risk in that yellow shade, and then in the green shade, you have your marginal risk. But as of right now, tomorrow's tornado threat, it is a 5%, including all of western Oklahoma back into northern Texas. So again, along that line, we could definitely see some areas of spin-up rotation. Would not rule out a strong tornado or two along that line. And then tomorrow's damaging wind threat is a 45 hatch. So again, this is what's going to be driving your moderate risk for severe weather. And this is really just going to be the main hazard for tomorrow. Again, seeing that very, very linear mode of storms. But that will continue to sweep south again back into portions of northern Texas, where we do have the extension of that 40%, or excuse me, 45% risk. And you can see we also have a 30% hatch and a 15 hatch surrounding that in the orange, in the red and yellow shades. And then finally, our health threat is a 30 hatch back into portions of western Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle. Alright, so that's all I got for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great day out there. Have a great weekend. But if you're going to be impacted by severe weather, make sure to stay extra weather aware. They have multiple ways to receive warnings. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for coming to watch. I'll see you guys in the next video.